So we're going to pick up where we left off last time. So we're talking about budgeting and money management. So in order to do that, the first thing we want to talk about is needs versus wants. That's going to be really important when we're talking about our budget. So it's important to determine whether you are really need or you really want something. So you're going to watch this video from Columbia College on the next slide to learn about how you can distinguish between the two and answer the questions that follow. All right, so I want you to answer this question in NearPod. When deciding if you should buy something, what can you ask yourself to determine if the item is a need or a want? I also want you to answer this question in NearPod. Why do you think people spend so much money on their wants despite the financial cost? How wants will sabotage your budget. The article on the following slide gives you a list of additional questions you can ask yourself when determining whether a purchase you're about to make is a want or a need. Read the article and be prepared to identify your needs and wants. So here's that article. You can click here to open up the web page. So you're going to read that. And then there are some questions for you. So my first question is, using the questions found in the article as a guideline, make a list of 3 things you need in the next month and 3 things that you want. So you're going to answer that right in NearPod. The next thing we're going to talk about is the 50-20-30 rule and how that helps you to create a budget. So some first-time budgeters may find creating a budget to be an overwhelming process. Others may underestimate how much they need for certain categories. Review to learn about the 50-20-30 rule, a popular rule of thumb for budgeting. So the 50-20-30 rule is a simple rule for budgeting. So basically 50% of your budget should be your fixed expenses. So thinking about how much money you make in income every month, 50% of your income should go towards your fixed expenses, such as a mortgage or rent, depending if you own or rent where you stay. Utilities, insurance, food, and other living expenses. Think about like those needs in your life. The next part of your budget, I like to say paying yourself first, is 20% of your income, of your budget, should be for your savings. So this means like saving for a future goal, like maybe you want to travel, maybe you want to buy a house, buy a new car, maybe you are saving for retirement, like we talked about in a previous class. And then the other 30% of your budget should be for your fun things. And this is really important because when people don't budget for fun things, right, that's when people typically go into debt. What I mean by this is the things that you do for entertainment, your hobbies, travel, going out to eat, getting that Starbucks in the morning or Dunkin'. Maybe you're part of a gym or taking classes or just buying clothes, right? So those fun things that, when your friend says, hey, do you want to go out to eat for lunch today? And you look in your budget jar, right, for fun, and you're like, yep, I got exactly $10 I can spend. Where can we go that we can spend $10 for lunch, right? That's going to help you to be able to keep a budget. The next one, so let's recap. Why does a budget help, or what does a budget help you do? So first, live within your income. So we talked about this in the previous class, right? Living within your income means not going into debt, not spending more money than you have coming in. If you're paycheck and you make $1,000 a month, right? You are not spending more than $1,000 a month in all of your expenses. You're budgeting that $1,000 to go towards the various jars, right? The various things that you have that you need to spend your money on. What does a budget help you do? Achieve your financial goals, right? Maybe your goal is to get out of debt or to buy a house or to pay off your student loans, whatever it might be, travel. Helps you to buy wisely, right? So when you create a budget, now you're thinking about, okay, well, I only have $100 to spend this week at the grocery store, right? So maybe you shop, the sales ad, right? So you can stay within your budget. Or maybe you go to Aldi or Walmart or some other discount places versus going to like a specialty grocery store or something like that. A budget helps you to avoid credit problems, right? Because again, you're not spending more money than you have. You're not putting all of your purchases on your credit card and then not paying that off. It helps you plan for emergencies, thinking about, what if you get a flat tire, right? Or, you have to call a plumber over to your house to fix something that's going on, with your shower or your sink, right? What if you have a medical emergency? So a budget helps you plan for those unexpected things. Another thing a budget does is helps you to develop good money management skills. Okay, and that's kind of what we're talking about during this whole unit of budgeting. All right, so here's your budgeting process. So set financial goals. So we kind of did that in that activity where you're doing your financial future vision board, right? What are your goals for yourself? Maybe your goal is to take one vacation a year, right? So you need a budget and save for that vacation. A budgeting process, the next thing you do is going to plan out your categories, plan out your jars, right? If you make $1,000 a month, where are you going to split up that $1,000 into different categories? So I'll give you an example here. So maybe a savings category, food category, clothing category, household category, transportation category, health and personal care, recreation and education, and gifts and contributions are different budgeting categories you could choose. The budgeting process, you maintain good financial records. So what I mean by this is, you keep your receipts or you keep track of your money so that your budget balances at the end of the month or however often you check your balance of your budget. And then the part of the budgeting process is to go back and evaluate, right? Maybe you're making more money one month or making less money one month, or maybe you need to spend more money in a certain category, right? So going back to evaluate budget is extremely important in the budgeting process. All right, so here is an example of just a household budget. So this is Manuel and Lydia. And Manuel, you'll see he makes a net income of $4,225 a month, and Lydia makes $4,350 a month for a combined total for their household of $8,575 a month. So that's how much money they have to spend, and that's a lot of money. This is probably a more affluent household, or they live in an expensive area where things cost more. So Manuel and Lydia get to spend $8,575 a month. And this is where they chose to split up their expenses. So the first thing, paying themselves first, they are putting $2,225 a month away into savings, right? That could be saving for a future home. It could be saving to maybe have kids one day. It could be saving for retirement, but they're putting a ton of money away, right, into their savings. And that's really good. So then they spend $1,100 a month on food, $475 on clothing, $1,825 on their household. So that's probably all of the utility bills and their rent or mortgage, all of that combined. Transportation, so their cars, right? Car payments, gas, insurance, any other maintenance on their vehicles, spending $1,275 a month. Health and personal care, $450. Recreation and education, $800. And gifts and contributions, $425. Contributions is like giving to charity. So their total expenses for the month, including that savings, is $8,575. So what do you notice? If you look at the left side where it says their net income, $8,575, it equals their expenses, $8,575. That means that their budget is balanced, right? This is what a balanced budget would look like. And what I mean by this is they've included their savings in there, $2,225, so that their expenses match their income perfectly. And that's what we're going to learn to do in this first unit of budgeting and money management. And you're going to be creating a budget for one of your projects. All right, next question for you. I want you to answer this in NearPod. What does wealthy mean? Think about the word wealthy, and you've heard that before potentially, right? What does that mean to you? And then I want you to answer this question in NearPod. How do you know when someone is wealthy? Like if you saw someone, how would you know? Yep, they're wealthy. You could tell. How could you know? What is wealth? Many people think that being wealthy means you own a lot of stuff. However, it turns out the number of things you have does not determine your wealth. In the next video, you'll learn what wealth means. So you're going to watch this video. Okay, it's only 1 minute and 42 seconds long. Watch that in NearPod. Next, you're going to answer this question after the video. You and your friends notice a classmate who always has brand name clothes, shoes, and electronics. What would you need to know in order to tell if this classmate's family is actually wealthy? Answer that in NearPod. Next question. How do you think keeping a budget can impact your overall wealth? Okay, I want you to answer that question in NearPod. And what you probably noticed after watching this video is just because someone has really fancy clothes or drives a nice car or has a big house might not necessarily mean that they're wealthy, right? That means that they probably have a lot of debt, right? Having an expensive mortgage on a house, right? Having credit card bills to pay for all of those fancy clothes or designer shoes, or having the latest technology all of the time, right? That doesn't necessarily mean that somebody is wealthy, right? Having money in the bank, right? So think about those things as you're watching these videos and answering these questions. Next one, money management. Money management refers to the day-to-day financial activities associated with using limited income to satisfy unlimited needs and wants. It involves getting the most from your money through careful planning and saving and spending. Successful money managers, right? People who are really good with their money do these things. They set goals, which you've already done, so you're already a step ahead, right? They make wise decisions, right? They think about how they're going to spend their money and how they're going to do it wisely, right? Buying things maybe when they're on sale or when the good time of year it is to buy that particular item, right? They shop around, maybe negotiate, especially if you're buying a car or something. They buy wisely and live within their income. And I'm going to teach you all how to be good money managers by the end of this class. All right, so now we're going to do an activity called personal balance sheet. So in your Google Classroom, you're going to see this activity for you, and I'm going to have another video that shows you how to do that activity. But let's talk about this personal balance sheet and what that actually means first. All right, so what you're looking at here is a personal balance sheet. And the first thing we need to think about with a personal balance sheet is the equation assets minus liabilities equal net worth. You've probably heard the word net worth before. You probably heard the word net worth when we're talking about like celebrities or famous people and their net worth, like Bill Gates and how much he's worth, right? Or maybe one of the Kardashians and how much their net worth is. What they're talking about when they say net worth, especially of like a celebrity, is all of the stuff that that person might own. So all of the houses, the cars, all of the stuff inside of those houses, the clothes, their brand, their business, all of that stuff added up together minus how much they owe. So maybe they have like 4 mansions, right? And the 4 mansions, they all have loans on them from a bank, right? So that would be how much they owe, okay? So you add up all of one person's assets minus all of their liabilities, and you equal their net worth, okay? So let's look like at an average person. Let's say myself, right? So this is an example of net worth for me. Let's say I have a home that's $97,000. I have a car that's $4,600. Household items, $6,200. A computer, $1,600. Jewelry, $1,100. I have $2,300 in my savings account and $450 in my checking account. So if you were to add up all of the stuff that I own, my assets, that would be $113,250. Okay? Now let's look at my liabilities, what I owe to other people. So I have a mortgage on my house still, so I still have to pay the bank. So about half, right? $45,000 I still owe to the bank on my house. That's $97,000. I have education loans, $1,800, and a credit card with $230 on it. So if you add up all of my liabilities, it would be $47,030. Okay. So if we take 113,000 minus 113,250, minus $47,030, my total assets minus liabilities, my net worth, would be $66,220. That's how much I would have as a worth, how much I would be worth to somebody. Okay, now I'm going to have you work on your assignments in Google Classroom. The first one we're going to work on is your personal balance sheet. And I've made a video that explains that assignment first. There are 2 other assignments for you to do in Google Classroom as well, and I'm going to make videos for those so that you can understand the directions so that you can complete those for this week too.